Namaste. Today is a Shivarathri day. Welcome to Swami Aswathy Thirunal's morning program. Shivarathri, as you know, is the day of Shiva. It's a great festival. Throughout India, Shivarathri is celebrated. I'm not going into the details of the celebrations and all that, but I would like to point out that Shiva is a very different deity. He is different from almost all the deities. Maybe he is down to earth, more, say, closer to us than many deities. There are a lot of books on Shiva. Shiva Purana is a most important book. And when you go through these Puranas, you hear a lot of stories. And many stories are totally absurd. People may say that it's a sin to say that Puranas are absurd. I say Puranas are absurd not because they are low books or books written with a very lower set of mind. There are so many stories like that in Puranas. But the problem is that we should understand what Purana is. Why Puranas were written? And whom do these Puranas address? These things are very important. See, when we think of Hinduism, the basic text in Hinduism, on the technical side, is Vedas. There are 4 Vedas, but I take it as one. It is Vyasa, the great saint, who created the present version of the Vedas. The word Vyasa itself means an editor. So he collected all the Vedas from different parts of India and set this as 4 books: Rig Veda, Yajurveda, Samaveda, and Atharvaveda. It's not easy to understand the language of the Vedas or what Vedas say. It's not easy because they come from a very different dimensions which are not approachable for ordinary people. It is great saints of India who created all these Vedas. These Vedas came to them as a flash. It came from the subconscious. And so, they wrote all these things so that people who develop in spirituality, in course of time, will understand the meaning and the truth that is described in Vedas. You may not find Vedas easy because Vedas are written for those people who have progressed in spirituality. If you are not progressed in spirituality, and if you are an ordinary man, even if you have all the intelligence in the world, even if you are well-read and you are educated and you are literate and all these things, you will not understand the meaning of Vedas. Vedas are esoteric knowledge. The great saints meditated deep into them. They probed deep into the subconsciousness. And the Vedas came out. So, it is absolutely necessary that one should practice sadhana and reach a level of consciousness. There are different levels of consciousness. Now we are living in one particular level. I can see you, you can see me, I can touch you, hear, and all these things. I'm limited by these five senses. I'm inside a body. And so all the limitations of the body are there. And I'm guided by a brain. Brain is also limited. Our thoughts are limited. Our imagination is limited. Our thoughts are always connected with time and certain factors like that. We can't think something beyond time. That's why Albert Einstein's E is equal to mc squared became a very big question in front of human intellect. He said that matter and energy are the same. How can matter and energy be the same? Matter has got weight. It needs space to exist. Energy, it doesn't have weight. And it doesn't need energy, space to exist. There are two things, opposite things. But it is the same, said Einstein. And he proved it also. So we have to believe it. But to understand it, to comprehend it, it's difficult. And one of the most beautiful aspect of this is that when you follow a matter, when you follow the matter in the very micro level, the atomic level, it stands as a part of matter when only you try to measure it. Otherwise, it is energy. It doesn't need space. It's everywhere, but when you go and measure it, then it is not a particular spot in the world. It's difficult. And after Einstein's theory, we know that time is only a dimension. Time is a dimension, just like length, breadth, and all that. So our intellect is blocked. Our intellect has a limited scope to understand things. That's why the great rishis sat in deep meditation to cross these limits of human existence. And then they came out with the Vedas. And there are wonderful things in Vedas. Great scientific facts are there. A lot of things. But to understand that, you have to reach a particular level. So, the saints thought, how can people of lower spiritual existence understand these things? Then they came out with the solution, Puranas. Upanishads, the philosophical side of Vedas. Unless you are a philosopher, you can't understand Vedas. So, you have to follow Upanishads. Upanishads makes you philosophical. Even if you are philosophical, it will be difficult for you to understand the verses in, the real verses in, the meaning of the verses in Vedas, if you don't have that spiritual growth. So, philosophy is a part of spiritual growth, or we can say that Vedandam. Vedandam means the end of philosophy actually. And then you step into the meaning of Vedas. But for the common people, Puranas are prescribed. They are stories, just stories. And Vyasa himself says that Puranas are books created for you. Don't take it as absolute truth or history. These stories contain certain truths, and you have to understand those truths. And then comes the concept, the Devata and Devam. Devam means the absolute existence of God. God is something beyond our senses and our imagination, our eyes and all that. But Devata is not. You can see the Devata through your inner eye, through your deep meditation. But even if you meditate, we probe deep into meditation, you won't be able to realize Brahma, the ultimate. Once you realize that Brahma, then you don't want to exist in this world. Then you understand that you are a soul or a Jivatma, and God is the Paramatma. Once you realize that, you don't want this body, you will leave it. That stage is called Aham Brahmasmi. That means, I am everything. Swami Vivekananda said, I am a great ocean in which Shiva, Brahma and Vishnu are only the verbs. See, that is such a great, high revelation to you. Aham Brahmasmi, O Shivoham. I am Shiva. O Ramoham, I am Rama. Slowly one has to walk through this path and attain this knowledge. Sivarathri comes from the Puranas. The deity or Shiva is a Devata. That doesn't mean that Shiva is of a lower class. Shiva is something or a Devata whom we will be able to realize through our deep meditation. It is just like seeing Arabian Sea from one particular beach. I am taking you to Kovalam beach and I am showing you the ocean, the Arabian Sea, and I am telling you this is Arabian Sea. Then you look around and say, oh, this is Arabian Sea. So small, eh? It's not small. The problem is that your eyes are limited, your everything is limited, so you can see only this. And Shiva is the deity of Parabrahma, which we can realize. It's our limitation, not his limitation. Shiva is the Chaitanya. It's an attitude. If you want to have attitude in life, your deity is Shiva. And why do we celebrate this Sivarathri? There is a wonderful story of Palari Mathanam in the Puranas. It is said that the Devas lost their quality of immortality because they got a curse from a guru, and so they also start aging. To help them from this, Mahavishnu said that one has to churn Palari. Palari is supposed to be a ocean of milk. They are all symbolic. And then from that came, from the churning came the Amrita. And so many things. Also, a catastrophe happened. Kalakudam, halahalam, that's in Sanskrit. That poison was precipitated from the mouth of the snake. It's all symbolic. Snake is the Vasuki. Vasuki means Vasana, the tendencies. So from these tendencies, from you, Paladi Mathanam actually happens in your life, in your mind. On one side is the Devas and the other side is the Asuras. Then evil forces on one side, the positive forces on one side and the negative forces on one side. They churn your mind. Mandhara, that's the mountain which acted as the churn. And that word itself means manthara, the mind. So every second, these two forces will act upon you. You will be taken to the negative side, otherwise you will be taken to the positive side. Whenever you think of something, these two things happen. One force grabs you, and that's the positive side. Takes you to the positive feeling, positive emotions, positive concept, like that. On the other side, the negative things will be there, and the negative force will be attracting you to the negative side. And it is you who has to decide which side I will take. Well, so from the mind, that depression comes. That's a symbolic meaning. That poison will kill the whole world. If you become depressed, if you become a negative person, then your whole world will vanish. That means your whole life will be destroyed. It's a very, very, very poisonous thing, this depression. And Shiva, seeing this, went and swallowed that. Shiva. If you don't have Shiva in you, You are Shava, you are the dead body. Shiva decided to serve the world by eating that poison. So he went and took that poison. Then his wife Parvati, Durga, went and grabbed his neck. So the poison was stuck there. That's why we call him Nilakantha, the deity with the blue neck. Well, that day Shiva became unconscious because of the effect of the poison. So the whole world was praying for him. Just imagine that. The whole world praying for the god of destruction. That's a very interesting irony. All the devas, all the saints, and Parvati was in absolute strong meditation to serve her husband. That's the day of Sivarathri. And during Sivarathri, all the devotees of Shiva, not only Shiva, all the deities, they sit and pray throughout the night. They don't sleep. Tomorrow, millions and millions of Indians, they will not sleep because they will be chanting Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, like that. Well, this is a Purana story. You should not, that's a very beautiful story, but don't believe that this is something that happened. It's not that something happened. It is something that happens in you. When you are working on something or when you are living, all the negatives will come to you. The asuras will hold you from outside. And the grip of the asuras are greater than the grip of the devas. Then, when life becomes a problem, you become a negative person. You fall into depression. You start believing that the whole world is against you. You will curse everything. The whole world, your situations, your astrological position, and all these things. And there comes Shiva, the deity, to serve you. He will take all this poison into himself. He doesn't mind if he dies. He is the Loka Rakshaka. So, if you are having this depression in mind, after this COVID time, so many people are depressed. But don't be depressed. Shiva is there. The great deity is there. He will help you to come out of all these depressions. So, let us sit in deep meditation on Shiva, the great deity, the manly deity, the devata of attitude. He will attempt anything. He is so strong, so kind, so beautiful, so gentle. He is the only deity with a family. He has a family. He has 2 sons, and they are all different. Subramanya, his son, is different from Ganapati. And Parvati dedicated her whole life for this strange deity. He sits only in deep forests of Himalayas. It's absolutely cold. The nature is against everyone, but he will sit there. And he is a very simple person. He doesn't have any attraction towards any material thing in the world. And he is always absorbed in deep meditation, because then only he will be able to serve all these souls. So, Shiva is our father and Parvati is our mother. And today, when we celebrate Sivarathri, let us keep this in mind. Shiva means attitude, and you have to develop absolute positive attitude to come out successfully in this life. And when you chant Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, Om Namah Shivaya, that great attitude comes to you. And whenever you feel depressed, sit like Shiva and think of the great Father, the Father who have helped us in every aspect of life, in all the lives we had. He had thousands and thousands of lives. And who was the father in all these lives? It was Shiva. So think of your father. Think of his attitude. Think of his courage. Think of his manliness. He is the greatest attitude guy in the world. You just sit in meditation and think that I am Shiva. I am the son of Shiva. So that quality will be in me, and I will be able to cross any problem that comes to my mind. I will be able to throw away every hurdle that's in front of me, and I will become a very, very successful person because I am Shiva, and Shiva is me. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Om Namah Shivaya. Have a great Shivarathri day. Namaskar.